Our guest tonight has made a few appearances here on Weather World over the past couple of years, but that was as director of the National Hurricane Center. Well, in June, he was promoted to director of the National Weather Service, and we are thrilled to have him here with us tonight. This is Ken Graham. Ken, congratulations on your new job.
I appreciate that. Great to be here.
So, Ken, what's really interesting about you is that you actually started in the National Weather Service as an intern, and now you have worked your way up to director. Tell us about that journey and how that gives you a different perspective as director of this organization.
It's incredible. Actually, it's humbling. That's the big word that always comes to mind. It's just really humbling because think about being an intern and the shift work and issuing the forecasts and the warnings and working my way up through different ranks. I mean, think about weather forecast offices, co-located offices with river forecast centers, the National Hurricane Center. I mean, all these different places give perspective and a lot of shifts. So I can relate, right? I can relate to the shift work. I can relate to the process, the forecast process, and what it's like to issue that forecast. So it makes it humbling, to be honest, because I think about it, it's like I was an intern, now the director of the Weather Service. I still have to take it in sometimes. It's just amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So you actually led the National Hurricane Center through some of the most active and devastating hurricane seasons on record. How do you think that has helped you prepare you for this new role?
Every different position prepares you for the next. I mean, you think about it, I was the meteorologist in charge at New Orleans for 10 years. I mean, just events like hurricanes. You go back to Deepwater Horizon, right? People don't think of some of those as being big weather events. They were. So you think of all these things, and that prepared me for the Hurricane Center. It's a busy office, and then you get to the National Hurricane Center. So that was international countries, 28 countries we forecasted for. Busy place, ran out of names in 2020 and 2021. Not good when you run out of names. So that happened. And you think about doing that during COVID. You think about the challenges associated with that and the employees. So that was an incredibly busy job, and that prepares you for the next one. And then there's this one. And it's not just hurricanes, it's fires, it's floods, it's tornadoes, any weather parameter that you can think of. That's ours, right? So each one prepares you for the next one.
Okay, so you've mentioned this, that you have overseen an office within the National Weather Service and also the National Hurricane Center, but now you're overseeing dozens of offices with hundreds of people. How do you need to approach this job differently than your past positions?
I think the biggest thing is just, I have three priorities getting the job. It's interesting. So it's people first. We're on the other side of COVID, right? We still got some things going on with COVID, but we're on the other side of that. People first, our infrastructure, and looking at our future. That's really the priority. So the way I look at it now is, you know what, as a leader, I'm going to point the direction. I'm going to try to focus us. I want to get out of people's way too, right? So it's just different, it's really developing the next leadership. Leadership's not position, right? It's an attitude and really trying to develop a culture in the Weather Service. We have amazing, dedicated people that could do anything. So I'm trying to focus us from not doing everything, really try to focus us. So it's a higher level, right? It's more strategic thinking than in the trenches getting the warning out. I'm thinking more strategic and where our agency's going.
Okay, and you've been in the job now for just a couple of months. Is there anything that has surprised you about the inner workings of the National Weather Service?
Yeah, so 28 years in this agency, I think I know a lot of that, right? I know where the good parts, I know where the challenges are. I think the biggest surprise for me, I always answer it this way, and it's probably not what people expect, actually. I think there's so much support. There's support in the weather enterprise. The employees are supporting, and what I'm talking about is change. How to do things differently. How do we have more flexibility with the shifts? How do we think about our infrastructure? They're all in for change. So the biggest surprise that I have is the amount of pressure in a good way to deliver, right? You have all this focus, you have all this energy, you have excitement. How do we pull that together to be able to go to an amazing place in the Weather Service? We're amazing now, and the goal is to be indispensable forever, basically, and be more amazing in the future.
Well, and you talk about all the amazing people that you've had a chance to work with, and I know that we're blessed to work with them here as well, and that's just been a great part of our job, is the weather enterprise and being able to work with one another.
Yeah.
So what so far has been the most challenging aspect of spinning up into this position?
I think part of it is, just staying strategic. I think, we got, the weather that goes on. So I still love it, right? When you're operational, you're just always operational and hard. I think the biggest thing is, as a meteorologist, you think about the training, but now it's how to lead an agency. You think about strategic direction, you think about vision, you think about all that. And the big challenge there is being able to focus to be able to do that. Right? There's travel, there's other things that you do, and it's all wonderful. How do you really focus on that strategic? How do you stay strategic? It's a mindset, right? And I think, so many years, there's deadlines. You think about timelines. For me, the timeline is quicker. The cadence of operations, right? the cadence of leading an organization takes a little time, takes a little longer. So really for me, one of the challenges is things don't happen overnight. So I need to kind of be okay with myself sometimes, everybody.
Isn't that the truth?
And say, it's okay, it's going to take some time. You can't snap your fingers and change everything. You have to work it, you have to get everybody involved, you have to involve everybody from day one, and that's how you go to great places.
Okay. So my final question here is that you just moved from an area, tropical southern Florida, to the nation's capital where they have 4 distinct seasons. So what type of weather are you personally looking forward to being able to experience the most? What do you enjoy about that?
Next summer. So let me explain, right? So next summer, because being in New Orleans, growing up in Arizona, spending the last 4 years in Miami, you know what? I love the seasons. Fall and spring are great. I'm a little worried about the winter. So definitely got to check out the wardrobe to make sure I got plenty of coats and jackets. But absolutely, my favorite season, without a doubt, is the fall.
Okay.
I don't know if it's leading into the holidays or what it is, but I absolutely love the fall.
Well, and the fall is here finally.
It is.
We get to feel that
Yeah.
experience that nice weather now. So first of all, thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us. Congratulations on your new
Appreciate
position.
it.
And this is just part 1 of our interview. We'll bring him back in just a few days to talk more about the present and future of the National Weather Service. So
Sounds
stay
great.
tuned for that. And we'll be back in a moment with more.